Bricks and Minifigs is your one-stop shop for all things LEGO. Hit the link below to find a store near you. Hey everyone, Joshua Hinlin here, and we are back at JANGBRiCKS City. Today we're taking a look at his mall building. We're going to be taking an in-depth dive into all of the incredible interiors inside this building. But a few months back, we had a chance to take a look at the entire city. So if you haven't checked that video out, make sure you look for the link in the description to that, and you can see all of the incredible city. For now, though, we'll focus in on this fantastic creation. Now, this is one that I know has been around for quite a few years, but you've done some updates and things, so tell us about this one.
Yeah, this was my first big building, big custom build. I think my first major all custom building was a police station, which I've since taken apart. And I think this was the second one. And it's fully detailed on the interior from the start. The major change that's made since I think it was 2014 when I finished it the first time, and since then the one major thing that I did was fully light it up. So every single space in there is lit, whether you can see it from the outside or not. We're not going to be able to see everything with the lights on as we start to peel back the layers because the wires have to be discontinued, but everything will be visible because the entire just major sections come up, so we'll be able to breathe give some air to the minifigs.
Fantastic. Now, before we dive on into the middle, we can talk about some of these exterior features. One thing that definitely catches my eye is the way you did these large window sections. So what are those pieces there?
Yeah, the garage door, the roll-up garage door technique for skylights and things is pretty common these days. I don't remember, there was a modular building that famously introduced that as well. I don't remember exactly which one it was, but I really wanted to have a lot of light being able to get in there, and I wanted also for us to be able to at least get a peek inside, even without taking anything off, just to be able to walk past this and look down and say, oh wow, there's people in there, and to get that feeling of the center mall, the center, that is what they call it, isn't it? The center area of a mall, yeah. That there's life in there, and just that openness, and just the feeling of big skylights, big natural lighting getting in. And for the front, I mean, I was still very nubile at making mocks at the time when I did this, and a couple of things that I have issues with are too much symmetry when it comes to designs in general, too much symmetry and not enough color. And I wanted to kind of break some of that. I tried to challenge myself, so offsetting the entrance, making sure it's not in the middle, and then just having something bold as just kind of a focal point. Again, thinking from the perspective of the minifigs, like you want to, if you're a person in this world, you want to be able to be excited when you walk up to it. So just something saying, oh, I can just imagine, being at their level. Oh, that's cool.
The grand entrance, not just like a little door that...
Exactly.
No, that's fantastic. You mentioned color there as well. So you do have the unique coloring with the awnings here. So how did you decide on that combination?
Basically, I picked a main color for the whole thing of tan. At least it's not white or gray. I think I've seen a number of malls in my local region that go with kind of the tannish exterior. And then again, just kind of challenging myself. I mean, by today's standards, right, this thing is so basic. Let's just be perfectly honest with it. Like this is not great work by any means. But at that time, just kind of as the part of the process of developing and trying to get out of my shell and find a style and experiment. I had all this tan. I'm like, okay, let me at least accent it a little bit. Brought in just a little bit of the brown, and then I was actually inspired by the colors that were there and a little bit of the shaping, kind of a tiki feeling, kind of like something a little bit tropical.
Yeah.
So I just brought in what in my head represented like palm fronds, like levels of palm. It's just kind of what what came to me, and I just went with it. And it's bright and it's all right. It's brought a lot of smiles to a lot of kids over here. So.
Now, to offset those bright colors, you've got the industrial feel up here. So what did you do on the roofs, kind of around the window areas?
Yeah, just the HVAC system, the whole climate control system to break up the top. I think 10 or so years ago, not everybody, I think, was doing, detailing for the roof, and I felt like that was an important thing for me to try to push to make sure that I didn't end up with just a whole bunch of roofs throughout my city that were just flat and plain. So just texturing it up a little bit with random tiles, and then having some suggestion of a couple of units, a couple major blower units, and then piping for air going around to different areas.
Yeah. Well, that's a great overview of the outside, so we can start to kind of take it apart a little bit and dive on in then.
All right.
We've got the roof off now, so we can start taking a look at all of these exciting rooms inside here. So we'll start with the far side over there, closest to Jang. So what's happening in that room?
Yeah, so I structured it based on the idea of one major kind of department store at either end. So at this side, this is the one that's inspired by a Macy's store, maybe a little bit dated in some of the things inside of it, or some of the layout. But at this level, we've got like housewares over on one side with the escalator, the up and the down escalator over there. Lands you directly into housewares, and this was shortly after Lego Friends had really blown up on the market, so I tried to use a lot of their accessories, and then just move over into a general, I think it's just menswear, menswear section over on this side, and I used some of the Lego Friends bodies to represent mannequins, because it just felt like, having something a little bit, mannequins are a little bit surreal, right? A little otherworldly, so I figured Friends' bodies would kind of get that across with the focus on the clothing,
No, I think that works really well. Like in the minifig world, I think the Friends figures are like somewhat recognizable, but also still a little strange, like you said. So I mean, same thing in real life. When you look at a mannequin, it's a little unsettling.
Exactly. Yeah, just really tried to make sure that there was enough room for the minifigs to walk around while still trying to pack as much concept of detail in there as possible. That center island is probably like a clearance, just
bargain
display.
bin.
And there's a little dude there who's thinking about maybe not paying for something. Just a little grab and go. All of the figures that you'll see throughout here have specifically chosen expressions, and some of them are looking at one another and stuff. But some of that ends up kind of being lost to time, but every once in a while you might just notice something specific. Let's, I guess, move in this direction over here. Again, since Friends was doing pretty well at this time, I was reviewing a lot of Friends stuff, but I didn't have a lot of good things to do with the parts. This gave me a good place to put a bunch of the Friends animals, again representing something that's just a little bit different from normal human stuff. Stuffed animals will have a different artistic style in real life, and it really worked out. Obviously, there are a lot more animals available from Lego today, 10 years later or so. But yeah, just a little kind of a, not a Build-A-Bear store, but something like that. Just a stuffed animal space that would bring a lot of in-universe kids a lot of fun, and they've even got a little spot where they can pick out accessories to put on
all
them.
the essentials.
Yeah. And I tried to get a few older pieces in there as well, like was it turquoise?
Yeah.
What is that? Wait, that's not turquoise. I don't even remember what color that is for that bear there. I'll have to go back and look that up. It's been a while. Over here is a representation of like a GNC, a place where you can get your protein powders and vitamins and stuff. And it's just a little, relatively kind of a hole in the wall kind of spot. But up against the wall are all sorts of representations of big jugs of whey powder and stuff like that. Yeah. And the guy behind the counter is kind of sporty, and there's one dude with his shirt off in there, all muscular and everything. And then contrasting against that, directly next to it is the cupcake shop, which is kind of going with the opposite energy, and tried to make that as bright and colorful, and again just inviting from the outside as possible, and using the corner kind of rounded corner design. I thought would just provide a little something different from the usual grid, and I think that's probably one of my personal favorite areas in the whole mall. It just kind of works with the striping on the wall in the back, the detail of the different cupcakes in there, and yeah, getting a couple of employees in there who are really happy, ready to provide some smiles and some yums to folks. So,
Exactly. You got to be able to get all your unhealthy baked goods and everything at the
of
mall.
course. You've got to smell it. As soon as you walk into the place, you got, okay, where is it? Where is it? Where is it?
See, this is what kids are missing out on these days. Is malls are less popular. I mean, they just don't know what it's like.
I know. And the sound of the arcade. Take me there. And then just as far as like the layout of having almost the skyways up above, I have escalators. Was it? Yeah, escalators at either end, and then a elevator in the center. So elevator with the open. Visible windows.
Oh yeah, one of my favorite things is when you have an elevator that you can see out into the big mall area.
For me as a kid, it was way more interesting to look at that from the outside than to be in it. Like I was never excited to ride it. I wanted to see it going up. So that's why I made sure to have the window on the outside and on the actual elevator car, so you could see the people in there.
Yeah, the color scheme from the exterior there again.
Right.
The lime green look.
Yeah. And then opposite the cupcake shop is the not Wetzel's Pretzels.
Don't want to infringe on anyone's copyright here.
No. I went with a slightly different color scheme than that. Medium nougat we didn't have a whole lot of, but I wanted to get like a checkerboard pattern in there. Just what food service uses checkerboard? I guess checkerboards. It was common with like diners.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just kind of a general vibe of
something kind of retro I wanted to bring in.
For sure. Then next to that, you've got some Octan. So I love the Octan representation you have kind of throughout the whole city here, but you've got it even in the mall as well.
This is where my Octan story began, which was the idea that in my universe, Octan isn't providing fuel anymore. It's actually the #1 maker of coffee mugs in this world, but they still honor their legacy. So the Octan store here does have some of their world famous coffee mugs for sale on one side, but the reason for the mall store itself is more to sell merch. So for all the folks who are fans of Octan and old Octan racing stuff, this is a place where you can come and get your merch. And there's a guy who's just outside who's just come out of the place who's just so stoked. He's like, "Yes, I got my Octan stuff." He's got the cap and he's got the I don't know, jersey or
there you go.
And he's just juiced that they actually had that particular one in stock that represents one set from the past,
The retro Octan merch shop.
Yeah.
That is really fun. Yeah, and just the color scheme there is so fantastic.
And then there's just a lady who's just walking over coming from another store who was really happy for him. And, I tried to kind of set the tone in my city that people don't really get jealous all that much. They're like happy for each other's happiness.
You're trying to create a really nice vibe, at least in the mall here.
Exactly.
So that brings us down then, if you want to talk about maybe this other large store at this end now.
Yeah, so we went from Macy's on the opposite end. This is the Sears. So the idea here is, the clothing selection at Sears when it existed was never good. Like let's just be honest. There's a reason that it's not still around. And this is intended to reflect that. So we've got ladies wear on one side, and you can see very clearly the expression on that one shopper right there. She's just looking like, "Are you kidding me? Why? They actually sell this stuff? I can't find anything that I'm interested in here." And on the other side is menswear, just very, very plain and unimaginative. Just so plain vanilla in styles. But yeah, it was just tried to take inspiration from stuff that I've seen over the years. Even the signage, there's a little bit of signage or a suggestion of low-res signage of it from the inside area of it, and then just a register, one of those generic old mall registers in the center that could have up to 2 people working it, you know,
There
for both sides. And the escalator, once again, up at the top of the escalator is a lady who's just afraid of escalators. Unfortunately, that's just kind of her personality in this universe.
Just the lady afraid of escalators. Yeah. That's what she got.
That's what she's known for. Think of like Lego City Adventures or something. You know, there's some characters that just have a very, very basic personality profile. There you go.
I love that, but it's great that you included the escalators and all of those features. You know, it's not just levels with no way to get around. You know, there's full transportation around the mall here.
Yeah, and doing that really makes you understand why so frequently Lego itself doesn't include stairs and elevators and stuff. It takes up so much space, That's why, you know, they rely on imagination a lot more. I get it. I'm not super happy with it, but I get it. And we got a few more small stores. One of them is going to be particularly difficult to look in, but that's the action figures store. So not toys, but specifically action figures. And the guy who's, I don't think he owns the shop, who's behind the register, but he's like a manager of a 2-employee store, you know? And he's really proud of his personal golden statuette that he's got back behind the register. Yeah, I think you could see it.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Great use of those. Those were all the Lego Games figures, right? Those came out, yeah, so kind of a few years that they were releasing a whole big variety of those.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's fantastic there. And then I noticed we saw a guy earlier that bought an action figure here.
Mm-hmm. That one, let's see. Oh yeah, that one is printed. Is that it's a Obi-Wan. It's a episode 1 Obi-Wan, I think. Or episode 4 Obi-Wan, if I remember right.
And then next to that, a little bit different.
Yeah, so it's the bridal store. So, you know, or I guess not just bridal, but like prom dresses and bridal store kind of happen.
Special occasions.
Yeah, and yeah, again using some of the Friends. You know, like the full body dress pieces, which really worked here because I took the arms off, so it really just, you know, focuses on the clothing itself. The reason I have displays visible from the outside is, again, just kind of, I don't know, probably at a real mall you would never see windows facing to the outside. It's mostly just because of sun, you know, bleaching.
Right.
So they keep it all enclosed, but I wanted people walking up to the mall to see that, you know, there are things in here that they want to look for, you know, that they want to go upstairs, you know, to entice them to get more involved and not just walk in, get the one thing that they're maybe looking for in particular, and then head out, you know, explore around a little bit more.
Yeah, it lets you appreciate these wonderful interiors you've done, since I know you said you don't take apart the building very often. Right, so at least with the windows, you can see that there's more to see inside.
Yeah, it's a reminder, and with the lights in there, you know, you can come up to a window and then kind of look around a little bit.
And I think that takes us to our final shop on this section.
I always forget what I named it. I think I called it Things and Stuff was the name of the place. It's just a miscellaneous place, and I feel like I got inspired by a particular shop that I saw as a kid a small number of times, but it really impressed on me. But I don't remember what that shop is anymore. But just a place that has all kinds of weird, unexpected things. Like it's not like a Sharper Image kind of store. It has a lot of like architectural, or not archaeological replicas and things in it. You got stuff from Atlantis. You got all the different types of gems in there. A shoe from Disney Princesses is in there. You got several different. Oh, the ship in a bottle, different types of weaponry and stuff.
I'm loving this store. Yeah.
Okay, okay. That would definitely be the first place you would go.
Yes, absolutely. But that's the great thing about malls is just the variety of stores. And like, yeah, I think everyone can think of, a store like this in a mall that just kind of has bizarre things. You don't expect it to be there. You don't really know why it's there.
Right,
it just is.
And how are they staying in business?
Exactly. Now, I know you said some of this represents something, from your childhood, maybe places you went. Was there a specific mall you went to a lot as a kid? Does that mall still exist today, or?
There was one mall-like space.
Okay.
That I ever went to as a kid. It was mostly more as I got into my teens and up into college. But yeah, as a kid, there was El Cerrito Plaza was the closest thing to it. It's like a half and half indoor outdoor kind of thing. The place still exists, but this is a place where the main anchor tenant was Emporium Capwell. Like this is back in the day.
Okay.
This is like smells like the 50s kind of place. And you know what? Thinking about it now, I think that's probably where I got the main inspiration for the tan. It's the main thing that I was thinking of for that. But yeah, it definitely doesn't exist in its original form or anything close. And the main mall that I went to up all the way up into college is just a husk now.
Oh yeah.
It was happening back in the day, and now it's just dead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, unfortunately, I think that's the way that a lot of them have gone. So that's just kind of the nature of things today. But that's why you build it out of Lego, so we can see it in its prime, all its beauty.
Yeah, and all these people here, they're happy, and can share that happiness with your viewers and everything. So yeah, who cares? Who cares what's going on in real life?
There you go. And I know we mentioned the lights earlier, so this might be a good opportunity then to talk a little bit more about kind of how you incorporated those lights into the building and the system that you used for that.
Yeah, this was actually my first full lighting project in the city. So I don't know why I had to start big, but I guess this felt like the most important thing to light up with, especially all the detail it has in it. So this one actually uses 100% out of the box brick stuff. Their original lighting system, which includes some light bars that are used around the exterior, the interior, the roof and ceiling sections use individual lights and small light bars. All the wiring is hidden out of the way to make sure that it doesn't affect the experience. Lots and lots of those are just placed all throughout on the undersides of the ceilings and lightly attached with actual Lego pieces. It's all completely compatible. And then to transmit electricity from floor to floor, they have metal contacts. So just contact plates. Here's the connection to this floor. So I tried to route the main wiring around, and then it ends up in a corner where you don't see stuff all that much. So yeah, there's just a set of contacts that come down from above that will just keep it going without having to have cables that plug in and get unplugged. They were one of the most innovative systems at the time. I think the main guy that runs brick stuff was really kind of at the forefront of looking at everything that's possible component wise to be Lego compatible. Without having to force us to drill into parts and stuff.
Yeah, no, and it's amazing to see how far lighting is coming. Brick stuff is still active today. We see them at conventions and everything. So it's just the variety of lights and the lighting kits that are released for a lot of the big Lego sets now as well that are super incredible and advanced and add such another level of detail and kind of awe when you have those on.
Takes a lot of work to install without question and without exception. But it's usually worth it in the end. But going back and thinking about the installation process is always do I recommend it? If you really like the end result, yes, absolutely. But just know in advance that it's to do it right, to do it nicely, to do it neatly. No matter what, it's going to take a lot of planning and a whole lot of cable management. If you don't like cable management in real life, you might want to stay away from it for a while from Lego, because it's the same thing, but a lot more and much, much finer, finer wires.
But that's great to get an insight into how you did that. So I think that kind of finishes this level, so
Yeah.
we can take a look at the next one then.
All right.
We made our way down the escalator to the first floor of the mall now. So lots more shops down here. If you want to, you can start again kind of on that far end. What do we have down there?
Okay, sure. Yeah, so again, the Macy's adjunct or Macy's-like place. And yeah, just more clothing areas with the center little, rotating displays, and then a central, the central spot over here is just a combination of checkout register and also the makeup and perfume counter, which was one of the central things in the Emporium Capwell that I remember from my childhood. You walk in the place, you smell the perfumes.
Always trying to hand out samples.
Yep,
or whatever.
yep, yeah. So again, just capturing some of those sights, sounds, and the idea of smell. And then back there is the lingerie area, which was very, very controversial when I first put it in, because oh my God, Jung. But I mean, like it's clothing and it's at the store.
Yeah.
There's a section, so it's there.
Fantastic. And you've got, I like the people with the tennis rackets coming down the escalator there.
Yeah, just a pair of sisters that I think just came from practice or something, and I don't know what they were doing upstairs, but they're just hanging out together. And then guy going up the stairs has a big old bag of, for some reason it's like a paper bag. I guess they were paper bags in malls at one point. Yeah. Let's look over here. This is the world's most depressing, most basic, most gray jewelry store. For some reason, I remember some jewelry stores being way too large for their inventory and just having way too much plain carpeting.
These are just like you're pulling on core memories of like, what is it when you think of one of these stores?
I honestly didn't intend for this to be kind of visually depressing like that, but I definitely was pulling from those memories, and I guess it just ended up working in the end. Just no decorations behind or anything, but I wanted to use some of the gem pieces that I had and some of the different decorative crown elements and stuff that I had, which wasn't a whole lot, but just seemed like a very mall thing.
Thinking about those unique elements like that, I know you initially built this quite a few years ago now.
Yeah.
You've done some updates like the lighting, but do you ever come in and update with different unique parts like that Lego has come out with, or do you have any plans to do that in the future?
No, I actually intentionally try to keep my mind off of that, because if I do think in that way, every single season, there are new parts that are good for something that should go somewhere, and I wouldn't be able to build new stuff because I'd always be going back to revise old stuff, especially with the zoo. Like, as many new animals are coming out. Oh my gosh! Yeah, I would just keep having to cut the exhibits in half, to create a new one for new stuff. So yeah, I definitely try to say, all right, this is done. If there's anything that I don't like, maybe sometime in the distant future I'll consider it again. But I try to stick with what I've got.
Sure,
just
that
be
makes
happy
sense.
enough with it.
Yeah. So what's across from the jewelry store then?
Electronics Boutique, EB Games, GameStop. Yeah, so I got the PlayStation wall. You got the I guess a Nintendo section, and not really an Xbox section. I don't know. Maybe PC games. Again, it was a little bit older and inspired the whole thing. And there are a couple of large displays that represent like a mech warrior, like a half human height mech warrior 3D stand, and on the other side is a car with a rocket engine on the back. Rocket League didn't exist when I first made this, if I remember right. But
Jane predicted Rocket League. You heard it here first.
I was just thinking of I was thinking more of like a post-apocalyptic racing, race for your life kind of game. And yeah, some controllers up on one of the walls, and the cheaper games in the middle, and not a whole lot of tiles, printed and stickered tiles were available. Oh, and one demonstration monitor up in the corners, so there would be just some gameplay on
Sure.
loop up there.
I know you're a big Halo fan. Any Halo references in this section or in the mall anywhere?
Not too specifically, no, because the Halo franchise, it was covered really well by Mega Bloks, now Mega Constructs or Mega, and yeah, I didn't ever feel the desire to bring Halo into the Lego stuff. Yeah, I just kind of kept those separate.
Sure. No, that makes sense. Yeah. And then you've got a lot of kind of minifigure action just kind of out here in the hallways as well.
Yeah, just families, friend groups, co-workers, just folks just coming in at lunchtime, or got an older couple over here, dad walking in with his son and his son's boyfriend. You got a couple of firefighters in there. Just try to mix it up and have it not just be, I don't know, just kind of do slice of life.
Sure. Mm-hmm. And then that brings us. Oh, I don't want to overlook this section back here. Yeah. But so, behind the elevator.
Right. So elevator. You get on the elevator from the inside. Just a really, really thin little space. But I used some of the movie posters from the modulars on the sides just to fill up the space, and then restrooms behind there. So we've got the smallest restrooms that I could come up with, and in between there is a closet space, an old closet space that's not accessible from the outside, and there's a unfortunate person that got stuck in there many years ago and never made it out. The mystery of what that's all about has yet to be solved, and the person hasn't even been found yet.
Oh. They say he still haunts the mall.
Probably. Especially the things and stuff store upstairs with all those artifacts.
But then moving into a completely different vibe from that is the colorful Lego representation here of the Lego store.
Very alive. Yeah, I had to do a Lego store, of course. It was an absolute must, and I tried to use up as much space for it as I reasonably could. Try to make it probably proportionally larger than it would be, especially 10 years ago. Lego before the Lego movie, I think Lego wasn't able to command as much retail space as they do today, and I tried to push the limits there for them a little bit, and use as many of the printed or stickered tiles and bricks that represent sets as I possibly could. Of course, the pick-a-brick wall is a staple of things like this. Architecture, got like the architecture and more of the for adults section over there, which wasn't really much of a thing at the time, but then city on one side. Got a little bit of friend stuff in there. Some of the suggestions of the storage bits, containers, and some little displays of mocks. Used the original. Originally I had a full original figure, like the pre-1978 minifigure when they didn't have arms that were removable. But that's actually kind of a hybrid. I forgot I changed that out so that it would have a suggestion of arms. So it uses the leg piece from one of those minifigs that didn't have moving legs. Just to be a little bit different, but then actually put an arm on it to basically represent a statue, a master builder's statue that's been built up. I didn't want to use a minifigure for that because it would look like a human being. Then this was really important to me, was getting the Lego logo in that red, that style that they used to do of having the big red sign. It would usually stick out the other way, but getting that embedded into the clear window.
Yeah, it's super cool to capture kind of the iconic colors there. And like you said, Lego stores have become a lot more impressive in some recent years. And they open up these flagship stores now, and just the models they have on display and everything. And they're 2-3 stories high and everything. Yeah. It's very impressive.
Yeah.
Then what do we have across from there, across the hallway?
This is just a small little cafe, the first one right at the entrance. I don't, obviously I don't have a food court. I don't have space for a food court, but I wanted to make sure that in addition to your staple cupcakes and pretzels, I wanted to make sure you had a place to get some general food and some coffee, a little sandwich or something like that. And yeah, that's pretty much it for that one. And then the phone shop, the mobile phone store, is inspired by Singular Wireless, which are words that aren't uttered anymore. But hey, my first cell phone was service was from Singular, so there you go. And it also gave me an opportunity to just use different colors. So white and orange just really stood out, and it felt like a brand. It felt like something that had some presence in this world and in this universe. And
there's always cell phone stores in malls, so that's a must-have.
Yeah, even malls that are just right about to completely close up, the last thing would be like that little pop-up little center stand cart out in the middle.
I love it. Yeah, it's just the last person they were trying to sell you on a cell phone contract. Yep. Now, next to that, very different color scheme from the one next door. It appears like all black, I think, on the walls.
Yeah, it's like a goth store. It was inspired by when Hot Topic was on a real goth kick, and I just leaned into that. So it's like goth and metal stuff,
Got the Roman centurion helmet, some castle shields in there.
Yeah, people were really big on the medieval weaponry and just feeling literally metal, or a little. I guess I did get one Urukai shield in there as well, and some serpentine stuff, fire and electricity, and you can just imagine the ambiance in the space.
Ambiance is one way to put it. I like that. But then that brings us to our other big section down here. It looks like we're getting into some big tools.
Yeah, so appliances on one side, it's inspired by Sears. So big old appliances section with not the best appliances, honestly, but at least some of them would last a while, but no features whatsoever. And on the other side is the Craftsman tools. I just completely stole from I wanted to have that recognizable color scheme, and the black and the red. Again, just colors that hadn't used a lot here, so just it worked in every way. So some hand tools, some power tools, some garden tools. There's a lawnmower, like a trimmer underneath the escalator.
Oh yeah, it'll use up all that space. So there's a lot packed into this whole build here. Do you know how many minifigures are in the whole thing?
I never counted. I would estimate it's probably on the order of like 50, 60, something like that. Maybe more than that, actually, just on the inside.
They add up quickly when you really start putting them in a build.
Yeah.
So is this in its fairly permanent location within the city at this point? Any plans to move where the whole mall is at all?
I've moved it a bunch of times.
Okay.
Yeah, and relatively recently also I changed its orientation, and have kind of changed the plan for this space to have more minifig walkable, accessible space. I've removed a lot of roads from the city. I'm trying to bring in more walkable areas that are more open, more plazas.
That's a very popular thing in cities these days. So you're really keeping up with the trends there. Right. Yeah, create the pedestrian right-of-ways, that kind of thing. Yeah, walking streets, very popular.
Yeah, it was just a few. I forget exactly when it was, but I really had kind of a breakthrough in my thinking of just this is not about just packing in as many building structures and vehicles as possible. It's about creating an experience for viewers to be able to enjoy. And in that interest, I decided I wanted to focus on making it enjoyable for the minifigures as well themselves, because we can see ourselves in them. You know, it's minifig scaled stuff we really attach to, we really connect with the minifigs and their thoughts and their feelings. So I've just continually been taking more and more roads out and opening up the spaces a bit. So I'm pretty happy with where this is right now, and I am a little bit tied in with its location now that I've made all of this terrain to help to separate out the more busy space from the more industrial area. It was funny when I took off the upper layer here. It was the first time I remembered that, oh yeah, this is completely open here, because I needed trains. This is a very, very tight space. I need trains to be able to do a full turnaround in here, including some of them that have a lot of overlap of the nose. So the nose actually has to sweep just past the mall here. That's why it had to be left open on the inside. But you know, it's all covered up when everything's here. But yeah. I'm pretty happy with where it's going overall.
Yeah. I mean, it still looks fantastic, even though this build is, you know, nearly 10 years old that you first started doing it. Yeah. I mean, the details in here and the representations of kind of all the iconic mall shops and locations still stand up today. So, like we said, even if malls themselves are becoming less of a thing, I love that you've still got it represented here. So, thanks for taking us through everything.
For sure.